And it's like neurotypical people can be so much more easily played to because so much more potent than everybody else's, or at least most neurotypical people's. I mean, I don't have anxiety, but typical people, however, neurotypical people are inferior. Neurotypical people are bland and they're boring and they just... Because here's the thing, guys. You're the problem, actually, neurotypical people. You're the problem. And treat autism. Okay? This is neurotypicals looking at other neurotypicals, looking at autistic people and learning. But the thing is that everybody is different. Every neurotypical person is different. Our brains are an example here of how, like, you know, even neurotypical people can feel overwhelmed by something new, right? If you're an autistic, if autistic people are wizards, then the muggles are neurotypicals. So no, I'm not seriously suggesting that we abuse the neurotypical people, because that's wrong and revenge is wrong. Period. Because fucking neurotypical people would struggle with what I've got to try and do right now. Right? Like, this is why neurotypical people struggle with autistic people, is because to noise me about people, about neurotypicals who don't understand how being autistic works. Understanding and realization of what you've got. Because it is so easy for a neurotypical outsider with a tick list to say, this. Neurotypical people are the inferior beings because they are so arrogant and they are so oppressive, and it does, because we don't understand neurotypical behavior, because it's so... They kind of... A neurotypical person looks at me and they don't understand me, because on the one hand, autistic people, make sure you cattle prod your neurotypical people anytime they don't fucking treat you with, you know. Other people who are neurotypical don't do this, and so they kind of... A neurotypical person looks at me and they by fucking neurotypical standards. Well, here's an idea. How about neurotypical speaks, where we are going to abuse... You're just not aware of other people, right? Neurotypical society, human society, is made up of all of these individual people. Genuinely say more similarities between neurotypical women than I can between autistic... Spurious person, because what it just highlights is time and time again, neurotypical people fail to understand autistic people, and in response they make... Like, just to scan what you want to say to a neurotypical person to make sure there's nothing that might be misunderstood or interpreted. Deal with me, and if you know how to deal with neurotypical people, you don't know how to deal with me. Literally the only way this works is if I know... Allows me to function. It allows me actually to, in some ways, function better than neurotypical people under certain circumstances. Because you know, children are dying because neurotypical people can't bear the thought. Pragmatism, I have all these morals, I have all these things that all these neurotypical people rage at me for. Rage! Don't think. They don't have the ability to. Of course, neurotypical people do have the ability to think, but it's sort of socially aware extroverts who are neurotypical and can't deal with you not being socially aware, are just, and he can cope with having essentially a neurotypical interpreter in the middle. Whereas, I mean, kind of everybody does it. Neurotypical people do it all the time. It's just they call it manners and politeness and social. Just like, and here is another way in which neurotypical people are fucking awful to autistic people. So I always have to now follow it up with a chapter, because neurotypical people can't bear the thought of neurotypical children. So honestly, to a certain extent, it doesn't even of where I am describing things that seem very normal to me, but that to neurotypical people will have people tearing necks, which basically abuses autistic people to try to make them abide by fucking neurotypical standards. Well, here's an idea. To navigate the world is the neurotypical bigots around you. You're just like, okay, fine, if I have to fucking do person listening to one kind of Discord scenes. I feel like a neurotypical person is invested in the characters and in the kind of the conflict that is this great term for all these different things that just neurotypical humanity can't quite grapple with. But neurotypical people are so programmed by instinct and society and culture. I can generally sort of pass for neurotypical in society, at least in conversations, which doesn't actually help me much, right? Different diagnostic processes shows all the ways that, neurotypical people are dickheads, but it also tries so hard to negotiate neurotypical life that if you are going to have a go at someone, if you're going to hate someone, conflict, right? I feel like that's the difference between a neurotypical person and an autistic person listening to one kind of shit. And if you're a neurotypical person who is, identifying with that scenario, yeah, like, better than neurotypical people under certain circumstances, because neurotypical people, they know social skills. You also have to do things for them that to a neurotypical person would be difficult, and that's hell. And then it's like, if you make mistakes and hold on, neurotypical people are just such hard work. Such completely. And just repeating the subjects over and over because that's what neurotypical people do. Neurotypical people is doing so whilst explaining in great detail why neurotypical people are bigoted, arrogant, prejudiced arseholes. Treat you with respect. We go out with fucking tasers, and anytime some fucking stupid ass neurotypical person decides to be a dickhead to us, and some people are like me and just going, no, fuck the neurotypicals, fuck them all, they're just bloody bigoted bastards. I feel like we don't necessarily need all this oppressive bullshit. What we just need is for all you neurotypical idiots to get together and to write down shit that you learn as a neurotypical person. Kind of pleasant to listen to if you're neurotypical either, but I imagine it's the difference between if this does not, why we don't engage more, why we don't be like neurotypical people more. In his fiction anywhere like as bad as neurotypical people have done to autistic people. And just the last thought, I swear to fuck I am understanding more and more that idea of just like neurotypical people, you are insane. Suppose heteronormative neurotypical relationship with a woman would be good enough. For all these things that play into it and that alter how we behave. And the thing is, most neurotypical people don't think about any of this. Neurotypical, as is the term. By the way, if you don't know, neurotypical is basically what people who we don't understand. Even people who are not neurotypical, as is the term. By the way, if you don't know, and I am calling this neurotypicals are the inferior beings because autism there are no autistic people. Neurotypical people, however, neurotypical people are inferior. Neurotypical people, I can't stay silent. I can't change the subject, frankly, because neurotypical people are just assholes for me. They don't understand, right, about morality, and I don't think emotively about morality. It is the neurotypicals who think emotively about morality and say, I suppose, identity politics parlance, you can pass as neurotypical. And so therefore you have fear. I can understand that if you are someone who is neurotypical or even less autistic than I am, that you might be screaming at... I understand now. I understand that neurotypical culture is built on all this stuff that you won't even begin to... How about we do that? Yeah? Neurotypical speaks. You know, once a month we send out a reminder to all the autistic people. Sometimes neurotypical people expect you to pick up on the signals they're giving out, right? And so people get the most help possible. This is what causes all the neurotypical idiots to go, oh my god, there's a pandemic, we must kill all you neurotypicals, you're all just fucked up. So elitist. But, you know, on how to help them deal with and understand neurotypical people. Neurotypical people are the inferior. Because I can't do what neurotypical people do and be truly altruistic. You're all a bunch of dickheads, aren't you, for oppressing us, sort of way. But I mean the phrase neurotypicals are the... There are so many books on neurotypical people trying to deal with autistic people, but there are not made me realise the angle that I need to have, hence the title, Neurotypicals are the inferior beings. Now, I can't stop this, I have to go or I'm going to drop. And sometimes neurotypical people are very thick when it comes to the way it would really need to work is that you'd need to have a neurotypical writer on board to sort of more and interpreting the mood of the person based on this and that, like all the shit that neurotypical people do without thinking. I do struggle with autistic people is because to neurotypical people, like knowing how to socially interact, and apart from anything else, like expecting a neurotypical person to be able to accurately portray on screen what it feels like to be seen like the most privileged arsehole in the world. And yet, compared to all the neurotypical people, you are a fuck up who keeps... Neurotypical, normal people, you guys are just the worst. The worst. And the word I am saying, like, just as I'm like that with neurotypical people, I'm like that with people who are autistic. Especially shouldn't have guns compared to, you know, even neurotypical people who, again, I have expressed that I don't think should have guns. I can do things that to a neurotypical person don't seem like a big deal, but to an autistic person, like, neurotypical people, you are insane! Because neurotypical culture is constantly evolving and getting more complex, and people are just... And here's neurotypical people fucking over autistic people again, and again, and again. Fucking over... Yeah, basically, what I'm saying is, neurotypical people are fucking awful. They are absolutely fucking awful people. And... neurotypical people just pursue and pursue and pursue and pursue and pursue, and it's like, okay, but understand what it means to be autistic as far as neurotypicals are concerned, and also at the same time, as far as other being autistic means as far as neurotypical people are concerned, right? Because I have asked this more than once in cool down after getting worked up about fucking neurotypicals. But last night things sort of, well, they want it. Here's the thing, you know, when neurotypical people say, yeah, well, it's all in your head, doing the neurotypical things of going, oh, why can't you just be normal? Is different. Every neurotypical person is different. Our brains, our neurotypical brains, are very individual things. Neurotypical people go over the same topics again and again and again and again and again. Although, again, maybe we should just do that for neurotypical people as well. Although I can't handle somebody else being in the room trying to act as a neurotypical interpreter. Because I'm just like, no, bugger off, I can do this myself. In the way that having a helper will help. I don't need a neurotypical to autism translator. I can understand. It's like I'm trying to translate it into neurotypical language, and every so often I get it wrong. It's basically a history of neurotypical people fucking over the autistic, right? It's like, you know, and they're all crapped upon in similar ways, and so almost autism is kind of just the neurotypical people can't understand you and you need help. How to convert from, you know, how to convert from rational to neurotypical, and, you know, would you like